He was perhaps one of the richest men in Colombia.
Admitted to 16 bombings from 1978 to 1995.
A truck exploded.
The police opened the refrigerator door and they said it was a dead body in there.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a gripping journey through the shadowy annals of history. A journey that delves into the lives of the most notorious individuals to ever walk this earth. Prepare to be captivated, shocked, and maybe even a little disturbed as we unravel the tales of the top 10 most infamous criminals of all time. From masterminds of theft and deception to those who plunged into the depths of violence. This video will take you behind the headlines and into the minds of those who dared to defy the law. Get ready to dive into a world where darkness meets notoriety, where the line between good and evil becomes chillingly thin. Number 1. Ted Kaczynski. In the quiet solitude of a Montana wilderness, a brilliant mind once held the promise of greatness. Ted Kaczynski, a young man with an intellect that set him apart, entered the hallowed halls of Harvard University at the tender age of 16. His future seemed boundless, a trajectory that could have led to a life celebrated for its achievements. Yet the tides of fate took an ominous turn. From the depths of his isolated abode, Kaczynski's thoughts grew darker, his path veering away from the brilliance that once defined him. In a chilling transformation, he became the Unabomber, a name etched in infamy. Behind closed doors, he channeled his intelligence into crafting destructive devices, each explosion ripping apart lives and dreams. His manifesto, a haunting glimpse into a twisted ideology, found its way to the pages of the Washington Post, a stark reminder of the darkness that had consumed him. Ultimately, the story reached its climax in 1995 as the long arm of the law closed in on the man who had eluded them for so long. Kaczynski's reign of terror was brought to an end, but the scars he had inflicted upon lives and families would remain forever. A tale that began with brilliance and promise had twisted into one of darkness and despair, a chilling reminder of the depths that even the brightest minds can plummet. Number 2. Charles Manson. In the annals of American history, one figure looms ominously: Charles Manson, a name etched in infamy. He emerges as one of the most notorious criminals to have ever existed. With a magnetic charisma, Manson commanded a cult-like following, only to descend into the depths of depravity by masterminding the savage murders of Sharon Tate and her companions in the picturesque expanse of the Hollywood Hills. His motivations were as chilling as they were perplexing: to instigate a race war by exploiting the burgeoning hippie movement.
Did you do that? The chair's getting hot, huh?
He believed he could decipher hidden messages within the silent intervals of Beatles songs. Manson's final days were spent incarcerated, confined to a prison cell, a stark contrast to the grandiose visions he once held. His story serves as a poignant cautionary tale, a reminder that even those who command attention and devotion through manipulation and charisma can ultimately find themselves adrift in a sea of regret and remorse. Number 3. Al Capone. Al Capone, also known as Scarface, was an infamous American gangster during the Prohibition era of the 1920s and 1930s. He rose to power as a prominent figure in organized crime in Chicago. Capone's criminal activities included bootlegging, gambling, and prostitution, but he's most famously associated with his control of the illegal alcohol trade during Prohibition. Capone's rise to power was marked by violence and corruption, and he used ruthless tactics to eliminate his rivals. He became the leader of the Chicago Outfit, a powerful criminal organization that controlled various illegal activities in the city. Despite his criminal activities, Capone was able to maintain a public image as a charitable figure, often engaging in philanthropic efforts to gain favor in the community. One of the most notable events in Capone's criminal career was the St. Valentine's Day Massacre in 1929, where 7 members of a rival gang were brutally murdered. While he was suspected of involvement, Capone managed to avoid conviction for this and many other crimes, often through bribery and intimidation. He died in 1947 at the age of 48 due to complications from syphilis. Despite his criminal activities, Al Capone remains a symbol of the era's organized crime and the challenges law enforcement faced in combating it. Number 4. John Wayne Gacy. John Wayne Gacy, also recognized as Pogo the Clown, left an indelible mark as a reviled figure in American history, standing out as one of the most prolific serial killers known. His sinister legacy was solidified when he was found guilty of luring an astonishing 33 young boys to his home during the years spanning from 1972 to 1978, a period marked by the gruesome fate that awaited them. Gacy would dress as a clown named Pogo and attend charity events, which gave him opportunities to interact with many children. The chapter of Gacy's life reached its dreadful climax in 1994 when he faced the ultimate consequence for his heinous acts. The method chosen to end his reign of terror was a lethal injection, which marked the grim end of a man whose dual identity as a clown and killer had sent shockwaves through society. Number 5. Jesse James. Jesse James was born in Kearney, Missouri. He and his brother, Frank James, joined Confederate guerrilla groups during the Civil War, which influenced their later criminal activities. After the war, they formed the James Younger Gang, with other members carrying out a series of high-profile robberies. One of their most infamous acts was the Northfield Raid in 1876, where they attempted to rob a bank in Northfield, Minnesota. The townspeople fought back, resulting in deaths and injuries among the gang members. This event marked a turning point in their criminal career. Jesse James's image as a Robin Hood figure emerged due to his actions against banks and railroads, which were seen as symbols of oppression. However, his criminal activities also caused harm to innocent people. After his death, he continued to be portrayed in books, movies, and other media, contributing to the romanticized perception of the American outlaw. Number 6. Timothy McVeigh. Timothy McVeigh was an American domestic terrorist who carried out the Oklahoma City bombing on April 19, 1995. He detonated a truck bomb in front of the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building, killing 168 people and injuring hundreds more. McVeigh's motivations were rooted in his opposition to the federal government's handling of incidents like the Waco siege and the Ruby Ridge. He was arrested shortly after the bombing and eventually sentenced to death. McVeigh's execution took place in 2001, and his actions and the Oklahoma City bombing have left a lasting impact on discussions surrounding domestic terrorism, government authority, and extremism in the United States. The incident also prompted increased scrutiny of extremist groups and individuals within the country. Number 7. Pablo Escobar. Pablo Escobar was a notorious Colombian drug lord and trafficker who gained immense power and wealth during the 1980s. He was the leader of the Medellin cartel, one of the most powerful and violent criminal organizations in history. Escobar's operations were responsible for smuggling large quantities of cocaine into the United States and other countries, resulting in widespread addiction and violence. Born in 1949, Escobar rose to prominence through illegal activities and violence. He controlled a significant portion of the global cocaine trade, accumulating vast amounts of money and influence. His criminal activities led to the deaths of countless people, including law enforcement officials, rival drug traffickers, and innocent civilians caught in the crossfire. Escobar's extravagant lifestyle, which included luxurious estates, private zoos, and other opulent displays, made him both a folk hero and a public enemy. His ability to evade capture for years and manipulate the Colombian government further added to his infamy. Eventually, pressure from international law enforcement and increased public outrage led to a massive manhunt for Escobar. In 1993, Escobar was finally located and killed by Colombian authorities, marking the end of his reign of terror. Number 8. Jim Jones. Jim Jones was an American cult leader who founded the People's Temple in the 1950s. He gained prominence in the 1970s and eventually moved the cult to Guyana, where he established the infamous Jonestown settlement. In 1978, Jones orchestrated a mass murder-suicide known as the Jonestown Massacre, where over 900 people died by drinking cyanide-laced grape-flavored drink. This tragic event is one of the largest instances of mass suicide in modern history. Number 9. John Dillinger. John Dillinger was a notorious American bank robber during the Great Depression era. Born in 1903 in Indiana, he became a central figure in criminal lore due to his daring heists and audacious escapes. Dillinger's criminal career began in the early 1930s, marked by a string of bank robberies across the Midwest. His charisma and ability to elude law enforcement earned him a sort of anti-hero status among the public. Dillinger's criminal exploits came to an end in 1934 when he was gunned down by federal agents outside the Biograph Theater in Chicago. His death marked the decline of the era of high-profile gangsters and signaled a shift in law enforcement tactics towards a more organized approach to combating organized crime. Despite his short-lived criminal career, John Dillinger remains a notable figure in American criminal history. Number 10. Jeffrey Dahmer. Jeffrey Dahmer, a notorious serial killer in the United States, committed heinous crimes. He sexually assaulted and murdered 17 men from 1978 to 1991. He drugged, strangled, and even ate the skin of some of his victims after dismembering them. In the year 1991, Jeffrey Dahmer was finally caught because a man named Tracy Edwards managed to escape even though he had chains on his wrists. When the police went to Dahmer's house, they found terrible things: pieces of bodies and pictures of people he hurt and killed, and kept in the fridge. Then in 1994, while he was in prison, another person named Christopher Scarver, who also was already in jail for killing someone else, ended up killing Dahmer. Just as the crimes they carry out span a range of intrigue and complexity, the world's most renowned criminals are equally captivating. Among true crime enthusiasts, there remains a keen interest in some of history's most heinous criminals, and these aforementioned individuals continue to be of utmost prevalence. We hope you enjoyed today's video. If you liked the video, consider subscribing so you don't miss out on our next release. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay safe out there.